Hey everyone, welcome to Murder Moose.
Hey, when you smack me, I got to do it. I'm sorry.
I mean, but you asked for me to smack you. I'm not smacking you like without consent, Josh. So I want you to recall and like you tell everyone that I have your consent to smack you.
Stop smacking me. Oh wait.
You said no. You know this is what happens, Josh, and this is how we end up in the principal's office, and that and like every time you say slash and cast, it's in the game. We get like
it's in the slash game.
Swartz like calls up Riley and he's like, "Hey, your idiot moose boys are like going off and saying it's in the game again," and they get the lawyers involved, and then we're in trouble, Josh. And then
I wouldn't worry about it.
But what if they take the money that we don't make making this podcast, Josh?
We don't make anything. Like
that's what I'm saying.
That's also the thing with like these posters I'm doing as well, because I'm just using whatever, and it's one of those things, right?
One of those things, Josh.
I love this one, by the way, right here. If you're on YouTube, this poster I just did, I love it. The sadness, wow, what a cool movie. Today, though, I made another poster for this new movie with what's her name? Monroe. It Follows Girl. Wow. Yeah. It's almost like kind of typecasty, like those indie horror, more atmospheric, more just about her pretty, like super pretty face, but like the fact that she can react and make you just like on the edge of your seat when nothing's happening whatsoever just because of her face. Wow, super well done. I did a poster before they did a poster, and that makes me feel cool. Yay.
You're cool. Maybe they'll be like, "Hey, Josh, can we give you like 8 bottles of maple syrup? Because that's the currency in Canada is maple syrup, and we'll use this poster so we don't have to pay anyone else." They're like, we can like optimize our situation here. 1, we don't have to pay anyone, and 2, we don't have to like actually like reach out to get work done. And so like it's a 2 for 2 for them. Like,
no, I'm hoping that, you know, the more I do, the more I get my name out there in the world of like key art posters and stuff, that I'll start to get actual commission requests from filmmakers. Because, you know, as much as I do just like doing it, I would rather actually do it for money too. So
that would, I mean, yeah. And then you get like your name on big posters and shit like that, and you're like,
exactly.
You're like, I am. Basically, Josh's whole goal in life is to get free Tim Hortons for life because
he's just Canadian. Popcorn.
And no, Josh, I keep telling you, no more popcorn for you, Josh. No more popcorn for you. You fuck your teeth up. And
it's
then
fine. It's fine. I'm not too worried about it.
Josh, all I know is that I paused there for a second because I got a follow on Twitch, and it was like the robot was talking and telling me someone followed me, and I'm like, I didn't expect it, Josh. I didn't expect it.
Rod Johnson, new follower. That's your new follower alert, by the way.
Josh is you're not a Canadian robot voice that I can install into my OBS, Josh. If you were, I would.
Yes, it is. I use my voice. New follower. That's what it does.
But I need someone to read the voices or the names because I can't read, Josh.
So you got the robot guy doing names. Yeah, but I mean, just for the follower alert. Duh. Then you switch it to the robot.
My new follower alert is like the robot voice telling me that someone called me. Stop with your farts, Josh.
It's just that, right? That's what it is. It's just that, and then.
Josh, remember, Josh. The audio-only people can't hear your farts.
It's in the game.
God damn it, Josh. God damn it. You're scaring people away again. What did I tell you about this?
Okay, so this week on Murder Moose, we have ADD times 10. We are part of the Slash and Cast network. Slash and Cast. It's in the game. My name is Josh WRB. Rod's name is Rod_Johnston. If you're on Spotify, stop right now. Go over to YouTube, see our pretty faces, then stop right now on YouTube. Go over to Spotify, follow us there, give us a 5-star review. Now it's time. I don't know.
Josh
it
is
all.
like, he went from like ADD 6-year-old who just had like ate a whole thing of cotton candy to like a businessman from Japan, like within like an instant. And here he is, like hitting every note on the plug sheet. You know, so some of our charm here at Murder Moose, as I can't say the word Murder Moose appropriately, but is that we kind of are off the cuff. The negative side with that is that we're off the cuff, and
Fuck
sometimes
no. Cuff is awesome. It's going on right now, and it's giving me the ability to go and see cool movies like it does every April. Cuff, Calgary Underground Film Festival. I had to do it.
Josh, you sounded weird, like you were eating your mic there for a second. I don't know what that was. Oh, was that another filter?
No, it
Or you
wasn't.
just make it weird? Okay.
I think it peaked or something because I'm coming through.
You're breaking up completely over the website, though. It's not a big deal, but yeah.
Uh-oh.
So, Josh, I have to ask you. I know you've been. I mean, I don't even shit. I don't even have to ask you. You just told me, dude. You're fucking killing it. You're like doing all these dope fucking posters. If you don't follow Josh on Twitch, go follow him because he does those cool ass posters every morning before work, and just kills it and makes really cool stuff. And
I work before work. Who does that?
I work after work, so it's the same thing because
Yeah,
I stream after work, so that's like kind of work. So it's like a thing after.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying. But no, like you're playing games. I'm actually in Photoshop, and that's what I use all day for work. So like literally, I go and wake up early and stream myself just working, but it's on stuff that is more fun to me because it's movies. I love movies, you know?
Yeah, Josh, you love movies? Who
No way. Wait,
who
what?
gets that?
You're talking
Wait.
about movies every week on a podcast and you don't love movies? No.
What do you mean? What are you even doing here, Josh?
Wait,
What
so
are
you're
you even
saying this
doing
movie is rated R? No.
for Rage Virus? The sadness is it is very much a modern update of 28 days later with. But if you went, oh,
28 Days Later was it was tame as hell. This movie literally unlocks tame and throws away the key.
yeah,
And then
it does a
it is
lot.
only foreign movies that have the ability. Like American movies have tried. You'll never see it done this metal, this like just everything that they go there. You know that whole like saying, "Oh, this movie went there." No, it went there in every respect of the saying. It went there. It did everything that you haven't seen in a movie and you just don't do. Actually, we were. I was talking to the writer director of Duel about there's a in he has this thing in a couple of his movies where he kills dogs as like a comedic thing. It's like those, it's done tastefully, anyways, but like it's one of those things that like you don't do. That's just something you don't do, and because his movies are so deadpan and so like just it's hilarious how deadpan his whole movie is, and it's just dark comedy. But then accidentally a dog gets killed again, and it's just like he's like, yeah, it's one of those creative decisions that you could have had an audience the entire time, and then as soon as you do that, you got people like giving you death threats, saying your movie's the worst thing in the fucking world, and he's just like, fuck those people, whatever, I'm doing it anyways. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
I think of when you talk about it like that, it makes me think of Boondock Saints when they're drinking and partying, and Rocco hits the pistol, the revolver, and like the cat disappears. But like it's weird because like you think about it, like you're right, because it's not just movies too. That's like video games. Like I remember streaming The Last of Us 2, and you're getting attacked by these killer dogs, and like my chat is getting mad at me for killing dogs that are trying to eat me in the video game. And
Oh my
like,
god, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, what about in Call of Duty when there's the dog attacks and stuff?
Yeah, dude. So like, and I think of like, I think there's like so much. Like I remember what you were talking about. Kind of reminds me of Ron Burgundy, Anchorman, where
Ron Burgundy.
Jack Black like soccer punts the dog off the bridge, and like
Oh yeah,
Ron's like,
but it
I'm
was
in a
like
glass box of emotion.
it's clearly they made it as they purposefully made that look exactly like a teddy bear on purpose so people
Yeah,
wouldn't be mad, and they were still mad.
yeah. People get very mad about lots of things, Josh.
Yeah, I want to see every single one of those people watch this fucking movie and then talk to me.
I don't want that, Josh, because this is the type of movie that so I was talking to Jerry about it a little bit on text
Oh, has he
messages
seen it?
while I was watching this. Yep. And he said a certain scene of it reminds him of a Serbian film. So
Oh
like
yeah.
that's where you're like that's all you need to say like in out loud language to go, oh, this movie hits like
This is
I
one of those ones I saw someone post like 4 posters. Like this is uh 4 of my like one and done movies. What is yours? This one made the list. I've seen it. I don't
yeah,
need to see it again. Like it is
yeah,
really well done. There's a lot of cool parts, but there's a lot of parts that just make me never want to put this movie on again because it's one of those
yeah.
super over the top extreme.
Yeah, it's and I will say this now, if sexual violence or the mentioning of sexual violence, it gets to you, this movie is not something you should be watching
No, it's just
because
it's violence up to
it's
11 the entire
yeah,
time. Like,
oh, I know, but like what I'm saying is violence in America is an acceptable way of communicating in film and TV and everything. But when you get into sexual violence, there is a like a warning label. You start slapping on shit, right? Because like you talked about it and you said that this film has more blood in it than most things you've ever seen, and like I'm gonna agree with that because there is a lot of blood in this movie. Uh, I
dude,
think that
wait, I forgot. I forgot to say over the weekend, man. I was a judge at the 48. There was no
yeah,
gore. All the 48s that I've done more recently, I've tried to make it as like, you know, just not go there, but like get a reaction, right? Like
yeah,
that's what you should be doing if you're doing a horror movie. There's a lot of horror
yeah,
movies. It was there. Everything was more campy and funny, which kind of it sets the tone. It's good. I was a judge with David. He plays Terry in Fubar. I don't know if you've ever seen Fubar. You gotta watch Fubar and Fubar 2. They're fucking great. They're huge in Alberta. They're massive in Calgary. Terry is like one of the mascots for the Calgary Flames now. Like officially, he's there as Terry from Fubar. He's one of the yeah, exactly, right? He lives like in my neighborhood. So I see him as Terry filming stuff for like the Trailer Park Boys and stuff. I don't know if you've heard of the Trailer Park Boys and all that, but
yeah,
yeah.
I've heard of
It's
him. Yeah,
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 it's all that like, Alberta party, trailer park, alcoholism, all that fun stuff. It's just
yeah.
they're hilarious. So, yeah,
I
that
think
was
I've
fun,
seen
but
one episode of the show, but yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up because I think if you're going to do a short, there should be a holy shit moment. And I think a lot of the shorts that I watched on the weekend were missing a holy shit moment.
Okay, Josh. Well, before we fully get into this, you wanna read the synopsis for the 2021 film, The Sadness.
The sadness. All right. A young couple trying to reunite amid a city ravaged by a plague that turns its victims into deranged, bloodthirsty sadists, and sexually charged sadists.
Sadist. Sadist, Josh.
Sadists, because it's a
Sadist.
sadness.
Josh.
Sadists.
God damn it, Josh.
Sadnists.
God damn it. Don't undo all the hard work you've done this last couple of weeks, Josh. This is what
Sadnists.
happens when you
It turns them
fucking
into
enter
sexually charged, deranged sadnesses.
It turns them into members of the Republican Party. I mean, I don't know.
They're making America great again.
Oh man, nothing in this movie. All the dude, this
The
thing.
goop
Ha-
coming out of their eyes too. It just like
yeah,
there's so many, like just
yeah.
it's so subtle too. I this as well. Like I gotta say, of all zombie movies made that have been a thing in the world, this is the craziest zombie movie ever made. They've topped the list.
It's it's not even a
It,
zombie movie though.
but
It's
you
like
can consider it a zombie movie though.
why
It
they're
checks
not
the
dead,
boxes, but they're still doing zombie shit.
but they're doing okay. This is the thing, right? 28 Days Later is debatably a zombie movie, but I don't see with this film though. The thing that I start wondering, it's more this movie actually. I think
They're
more
undead.
it has more in common with Mayhem.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
it's like it's Mayhem or like 28 Days Later is really not a zombie movie either. But like this has more like Mayhem is the film like when it comes to because it's that same kind of thing. This is what they did. They took Mayhem and they went like, "Oh, that's cute. You put this movie in a office building. That's cute. Okay, we're gonna take it and we're gonna put it in the middle of a fucking city." And even though, what do you say, like 2/3 of it takes place in this office building, maybe a half of it takes place in this office or the hospital, I should say. It like man, they turn up everything in this fucking film to
I
11. And
love
like
the color of the blood in this movie though. Like if you're
yeah,
gonna do blood and you're gonna do it that much, make it
yeah,
dark. Make it
yeah,
just stick to everything. That one scene in the like train where it like
yeah,
goes up to, just that
yeah,
lady standing there like being all messed up. The amount of blood on the floor and stuff, there's just blood everywhere. That stayed with me so much, and that's was the like that scene alone was the main inspiration for anything moving forward for me doing like art for it. I was like, it needs to
yeah,
be just a bloody floor. So I took
yeah.
like went
Yeah,
went
it's
went
dude,
went blood 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 blood.
that whole scene is the like where it kind of picks up because it takes Train to Busan and like it kind of like it reminds me of, like Train to Busan mixed with like the Raid, right? Like you're having this real close quarters combat and slash like violence, and it's just like what the because like you had seen like them fucking people up and kind of whatever, but like this is the real first like
They're stuck,
showing.
and
Yeah.
yeah, like it's almost like the Texas Chainsaw bus
Yep.
scene,
Yep.
but without a chainsaw, and it's just as fucking brutal, if not worse.
Well, it's yeah, because you're like, dude, you're like stabbing people who don't even see it coming. Like stab, stab, stab,
Well,
stab,
and the
stab, stab.
umbrella too.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
that sets up an even worse scene later.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And it's just like this is like, dude, so this movie is made in Taiwan, right? Like there are things in it I'm like, I especially, because Taiwan really doesn't like China, right? And you could kind of gather that from this film a couple times, and you go, "Whoa!" I was kind of like, "This is like getting brought." I think that they fucking. It was weird that it kind of seems like they used this movie to kind of go, "Hey, fuck you, China," but like nothing China could do about it. You know what I mean? Like you know what scene I'm talking about specifically, but like,
Yep.
which is like you start getting these political things, and you go,
Very
"Uh,
not or very heavy-handed on it
yeah,
as well. Like super
yeah."
heavy-handed, and it's
Well, dude,
in your face.
we live in a world now, and this is like I don't know if you heard about this. Like, they started banning Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness in like Muslim countries
Why?
because of there's, I guess there's a character who has two ants, I guess, in it.
Oh my
So
god.
and just like it
No,
literally,
you can't be progressive at all.
continues. Someone in continues chat was saying this morning that like for 13 seconds worth of dialogue they banned it in these like Muslim countries, and you're like, ah, dude, I, it's the thing that's been interesting as the world has gotten into the internet, like, is that's the problem is that this stuff happens, like that movie's gonna get into any of those countries, right? At some point. I mean, not everyone's gonna see it, but there will people who get it. It's kind of strange going. Do you really have to go into the dark web to get like a copy
A
of Doctor
Marvel
Strange?
movie? Yeah,
Yeah,
like
but
wow. I
yeah,
can't wait to see it too, by the way. Like that's coming up
it's
real quick, eh?
it's a week and a half. It's like it'll be next week, next Friday, a week from Friday. I think is the release date. So
It's the
I have like
5th, right?
yeah. I have tickets for like 11 o'clock. My wife looked at my schedule and mistakenly thought I was off, so I'm gonna have to work half of a day and then go see that, which I guess is better anyways. But
The
so
May the 4th, I'm taking the day off and I'm going and working still, but it's I'm helping out a friend at a tattoo shop film a Yoda tattoo for May the 4th. So I'm taking that day off, and
nice.
then the next day I go and see Doctor Strange. So I got some fun days coming up, and a bunch more fun days just still ahead of me at Cuff and
Yeah,
stuff, man. So it's I'm packed. This
they're
is
doing.
like it's about time, you know. The
Yep,
upward funness of life is coming back.
life is sort of returning. Yeah, I mean, I still been looking for more concerts to go to because the concerts are one of my favorite activities ever. But like, yeah, man, it's like I see more artists coming back. I just saw that
Oh, I'm
Deadmau5 is
going
coming
to a
back.
dude. I don't know if you know any of these bands, but May 1st, Comeback Kid, Cancer Bats, and Misery Signals. 3 of my favorite bands, all touring together. And my friends are in some of those bands as well. But
I don't know
uh,
any of them. No.
they're all fucking well, they're all Canadian bands for the most part. But
I told you
unbelievable
this.
fucking
I
bands.
I told you this for a long time. My Canadian band of choice as a child was Finger Eleven. So, and Finger Eleven's about as Canadian as you get. But don't fart at me. Are you telling me, dude?
That's how
I
much I
like
like Finger Eleven.
they were never big in America at all until that one song came out, and then they were kind of big for a second, and then no. But like, yeah,
I know a lot of people that like Finger Eleven. I couldn't get into them.
they're Canadian as fuck. That's why you know a lot of people that like Finger Eleven. So
What are
yeah.
you saying, Rod? What are you saying,
That
Rod?
their like sphere of influence was like mostly Canadian.
I
Dude,
hadn't I
first
did not know they were Canadian until this moment right now. Not
you
gonna
did it.
lie.
There
Did
was
not
Canadian
know.
really good, dude.
Did not
That,
even know they were Canadian.
dude, they I saw them and I had when I was in high school and 3 Days Grace opened up for them when 3 Days Grace was still like
Oh,
they're also very Canadian. Will you stop with
that
your farting?
I fucking hate cock rock, man.
What is cock rock? I don't even know what cock rock
Shitty
is.
rock and roll music.
I was never a huge 3 Days Grace fan, but I did like that I Hate Everything About You song. But yeah, most of their stuff was pretty generic. That's why I didn't like the fucking Black Veil Brides, man. Like there's just generic like wannabe metal that's
I
not
grew
really
up on
that's
like Calgary punk and shit. Like it's
yeah.
the fastest sub genre of skate punk. It was part of the like the global metal and like other documentaries and stuff. It's actually
Yeah.
on the map. Like my old band Aftertaste is like, we loved Belvedere and Downway and like the bigger bands from Calgary growing up that are still touring and like
Yeah.
playing, sold out shit across the pond in Europe. But if they come back and play in Calgary, everyone here has seen them a million times, so they play in front of just like, the usual suspects. But they're selling out like stadiums and shit across the pond. It doesn't make sense, man. But yeah, that's super fast double kick fucking skate punk. Like,
But
super fast.
punk the problem with punk is that it's like that's the thing about punk. It's never supposed to be hard to play, right? Punk is supposed to be like it's supposed to be like
Well,
simple,
try
right?
and play Belvedere on the drums. He's so fast. Casey, I love Casey. He was in a couple bands that I replaced him in and stuff like over the years. I've recorded with him in his studio a bunch of times and stuff. I've always
Yeah.
looked up to him. So for him to like pass the sticks down to me, like from a band, because he was filling in until they found the new drummer, and he's like,
Yeah.
"I knight you, new drummer." I'm like, "Oh, thanks,
Sir
Casey."
Joshua.
Yeah,
And then and then you became a hellbender, and you ate your mom, and that was how
I
you
told
progressed.
my so I told you about this. Like my nibbling is goes by Izzy.
Yeah,
Is I'm teaching them drums. My older sister, uh, you know, Izzy's mom is like into Reiki and like honestly witch type stuff, but the good kind, not like going down the dark
yeah,
paths and everything.
not
And
hellbending.
so is Izzy. So I was like, why the heck? This movie is blowing my mind. You guys got to watch it. So it's like totally on the radar because
Nice.
they're pretty much in it. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, man, I didn't know you were related to hellbenders, Josh.
Yeah,
Better be
I'm
careful.
stoked, man. I didn't either.
I mean, but when did they hellbender you?
I really
And
like that poster I did for that movie too, actually.
yeah, that poster is dope, man. With like you combining the elements of like the
Again,
tequila and the
I do that. It's like those if you know the movie, you're like, "Hey, that's all the shit."
yeah.
But it
Hey,
looks
it's like
cool too.
I mean, you could do such cool things with posters, and I mean, like you're talking about, but you also, I mean, look at with the duck guy in his posters, and like how he's like makes cool posters for Halloween Ends and doesn't know anything about Halloween Ends except that it's Michael Myers and
It's a hype beast thing though, man. Like
yeah,
you're riding the wave of the hype of a movie. He does a shit ton of screen posters and they do really really well and he's like he gets known for, the anticipatory posters and stuff cuz it's all minimal, but he knocks it out of the park every fucking
right.
time. I
Reminds
love
you,
his
like
shit so much.
you need to start like doing do a black phone poster pretty soon and do
He did a
like
really good one for that. There was a trailer that just dropped today. I'm trying to stay current with the movies that we do, but me doing, I agree with you 100%, by the way. Like,
right,
I'm going to. And I think today, honestly, kind of shows that I should be because I've, doing the poster today and having the director of Watcher, like, reach out and be like, man, this is so good and not far off from what we're actually going to be,
I
putting
mean,
out. That's fucking crazy. And I'm like, oh, sweet, that's awesome. That makes
I
me
don't know if
feel good.
I don't know if we talked about it on here. You had the director of Last Night in Soho, like your Last Night in Soho poster. So like
Yeah, Edgar Wright,
that's
man.
yeah, I know. I'm just saying, man. It's pretty fucking titties, man. It's pretty fucking titties. It's pretty fucking cool, man. Um,
I'm excited, man. I feel like I'm starting something and it's awesome. And I should have continued before, but hey, you can't dwell. You just move forward, right? Well, you know what? I'm ready now, regardless.
you're you're hard as a rock, and you haven't been this hard in years, Josh. Just like the old man in this film.
My God. I think you know what? Like I started like s- you know panning the conversation away from the movie because this one is going to be to even just
Yeah.
dive into. It's definitely a mouthful.
Well, there's a couple things about this movie that make it hard to discuss. One, it's not super like a lot of the indie films we do. The plot isn't super in depth, right? It's a
It's
outbreak
about the shock
occurs.
and awe.
Yeah,
Like they
it,
came up with a hat, filled it with like, okay, think of the craziest shit that has never been done in movies and some that has been. We'll put it in this hat. And then the guy goes, psych, we're doing it all. And
dude,
it's like, fuck.
there's stuff in this film that I even went, is this too far? And like, which goes, what? What? Like, I don't know, man. It takes a lot for me to go. Like, there will be stuff that make me squirm. Like, it doesn't happen all the time, but like
I
this
hate
movie,
breaking broken
the
arms.
arm,
I've
the
told you
arm thing,
that,
yeah, yeah,
and why. So they set it up and they set it up for so long. And I looked
yeah,
away and looked back and I still saw it. And I'm like, fuck
yeah,
you guys. Oh,
yeah,
it's so brutal. And
yeah.
the sound is so
Well,
brutal too.
they do that, and then let's like use the guy's testicles as a battering ram, like at some point, and you're like, what the,
Yeah,
what
but
are
they
you?
flip that on its head too, because you think
Yeah,
I don't. We're just going straight into spoilers. So
I mean, I don't. Yeah, we're okay. We're kind of going off about what things happen in the movie, but like, yeah, I mean, the
that's honestly okay. So the plot is, I like that they do start the movie off a little, in the apartment building. You see that they kind of have a good relationship, that he's a doof that doesn't know how to cook and blah blah blah, and they drive past like you know a an accident, like a car accident, on as he's like mopeding her to work, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you had to see that, honey," and blah blah blah. And they set it up really like, you know, cutesy and innocent and all that, and it just goes to it goes past hell
Yeah. Well,
instantly after that.
it, it's kind of like one of those things where it seems like that character, the female character, is way more. She's out of that dude's league. Like he seems
Totally.
like
Oh,
she's
dude.
on some badass job that she's like can barely get time off, and this motherfucker's sitting there going, "Yeah, you know how
Okay.
clients are right now."
Okay, so it remind like I just saw this movie called Gatlup. It's called. It's
Yeah.
about friends getting together. Their main friend just got cheated on and is getting a divorce, and blah. I'm
Mhm.
like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like, why am I seeing eye to eye with this character? What the
Yeah.
fuck? But no, then he's like moving back in with his friend, and it's like this drinking house. His friend still has the house set up the exact same way, and they stumble upon this like drinking game that he was gifted this credenza, and they play this drinking game that's like tell the truth type thing,
Mhm.
and they find out that this game is like possessed and makes you literally play the game or you're dead type thing. And it's like, no, you got to punish him because he didn't do the thing. And they're doing this thing, and she's just like, oh, go to hell, man. And then he just disappears because it's a comedy, right? So like,
Yeah.
honestly, when he disappeared, I was like, he is in the sadness, because like the sadness is literally that would be that's the worst thing I could think of, and that has to be hell. And then he came back, and it made a laugh about it because it's a comedy. But like, if he got sent to hell, he saw what they're showing you in this movie, because the like even Hellraiser doesn't show fucking anything like, and it's Hellraiser. He's the guy torturing people, and it's nothing like this.
Dude, I can only think of one thing that I don't even want to say the sentence out loud that could have made this movie more extreme because yeah, this movie, I tell you what, man, as soon as someone who's a tiny bit sensitive sits through this movie, this movie is going to get
They didn't do anything
it's gonna
with pets, and I was surprised because they did stuff with everything else that you're not supposed to.
yeah. I I wonder if Taiwan doesn't have a whole lot of pets. Like, well, the thing is too that you have to go. You kind of have to assume that's happening, right? Because this whole movie takes place in the streets and in this one hospital. So like you're not in any places that pets would be, really taking place, right? You're in a movie that doesn't. You're not in that kind of environment by the point you're probably, all this is happening. I mean, it still could happen, but it makes sense that there aren't any, pets running around. But yeah,
I
man,
was all I got to say is I was just surprised that there wasn't anything to do with pets, because
yeah,
they do stuff with other things that I was like, you know what?
yeah,
This is the
yeah,
worst. I don't even like hearing the sounds, but it doesn't
yeah.
surprise me that they're going there.
Well, dude, yeah. There's times in this film that, and it's funny because most of it's pretty implied, right? They don't show like when
Yes.
it comes to real horrible stuff. I mean, there is tons of gore in this movie and tons of violence. Like this movie has like George Romero. Like when you call it a zombie movie, I think you could kind of the argument you're gonna have to go down the route, and if you make that argument about the violence, right? Like in the biting, because these people start bite. There's a lot of biting, right? And when you get into the hospital scene in the end, there is like kind of things that you would expect in a zombie movie. I the things that what was interesting though, and this really isn't a spoiler, but this film never truly sets up rules, right? Which is unique. Like all it sets up,
Yeah, because
like at
like
the
yeah, there's go on. Sorry.
you
I
don't get
totally
any,
agree.
you're good. You don't get any form of how this is passed, which makes you think it's an airborne virus because of like events that occur. But like you don't really know, and there are weird aspects of that, like at the end, like the kind of like there you get some news broadcasts at the very beginning of the film when the character is coming back from like what he was no, it wasn't even that. It was like, yeah, he takes his girlfriend to work and he comes back and he turns on the TV, right? And there's the guys arguing about it on the TV. Is kind of where you get like the thing. But dude, you know what fucking actually is horrifying in this movie? And it also makes me kind of feel weird because they must have shot this in 2020 slash the beginning of 2021. And the fucking shit they talk about in this film is just they're taking Fox News and putting it on a Taiwan like news station and shit like that. Like the neighbor from the beginning is like, oh, it's a big hoax. They just want to lower the stock market and so that the rich people can make more money. And you start going,
Oh, fuck.
we see the world we live in where Elon Musk doubled his net worth and then decided to go, hey, YOLO, I'm going to buy Twitter for $44 billion. And after 2 years in the fucking pandemic. And so when you have people saying that, and you're like, it's half sounds realistic and it half sounds like crazy people at a Donald Trump rally. And you go, oh wow, this hits home, man. And dude, I have to say, man, the weird thing about this film, man, is like it also doesn't have it doesn't take its foot off the gas like at let me rephrase that. It never hits the brakes. I should say that. It takes a foot off the gas a couple times and where it starts slowing down a little bit, but that's about all. This movie is like pretty gasoline once you're like 15 minutes in, like it goes and it goes and it goes and dude, I this may I don't remember a film that I'm like this is gonna be a problem when people start seeing it. But the problem is, dude, if this is only on Shutter,
It comes out on Shutter May 15th. So like we have seen it a little bit early
yeah,
and it's it's definitely just like I'm glad we're able to talk to anyone that's listening about this movie before it comes out and just give the warning. If you like extreme, fucking cue it up, watch it, get your extreme on. If you have any type of like squeamishness to you,
yeah,
fucking skip it like crazy because this movie was made only for the most
yeah,
metal people out there
dude.
in a weird, gross way.
This was one of the only films I could remember showing someone jumping off of a building
And not cutting.
and being on ground level when they show it.
Yeah.
Like they
You know,
usually when someone
it's the same technology they use to just have Spider-Man swinging around, but like yeah, because like you could see where where
yeah,
they become like a CG person, but it was still done very well.
it was yeah because they cut from the overhead angle
Mhm.
to the other angle, right? I think is what they did. Maybe they didn't, but like, yeah, you could see, but like, then the body's on the ground, and you're like, plop, you're like,
Let the bodies hit the
oh,
floor.
God, drowning pool. I told you I was like, I saw them a week before that motherfucker died, like, like, and was calling my section of the pavilion a bunch of pussies for not standing up to let the bodies hit the floor, and I'm like, dude, you aren't good, and you know. And when I
Oh
said
fuck.
that, it was way too accurate of a statement because that was like 20 years ago at this point. But and that guy died like a week later. But man,
Shit.
you're like, dude, when you go to those metal festivals and like, just festivals in general, that was like Ozfest, and it was like you're seeing bands on like side stages for hours, and then like you go and sit down for the last 4 or 5 bands or whatever. And I'm like, I'm gonna sit down. I paid money for tickets where I could sit in a seat in a pavilion. You piece of crap. I've been here for hours. You've been on stage for 13 minutes. You bastard. You bastard.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
Man, I have to say though, like this movie would never get released in theaters in America. Like
Fuck
that's the thing.
no.
it would never get released. It has. It's funny though too. Like for the acts of sexual violence that are in this film, it, are are the ones that really do it. But even the levels of blood that they show, it almost feels like they went with the Kill Bill kind of thing, where they're like, we have
Yeah,
to
but
put.
it's so. But Kill Bill does it in a comedic way, whereas this,
Yeah,
that one hallway scene where you see the picture of it in the trailer where
yeah.
the girl with the missing
I haven't watched the
eye.
trailer. You haven't watched
What?
the trailer?
Oh, you haven't watched the trailer?
Uh-uh.
There's like a
I
picture of it. I think they used it in the poster too, where she's holding the like the tool, like the drill
saw, yeah,
tool, the saw tool, whatever.
yeah,
And like the amount of blood in that scene, and they just that's what they do so well. Like when it comes to a horrific moment, they hold it there uncomfortably longer than you're used to seeing in
yeah,
any other
yeah,
horror movie. They usually like do it and then cut away. They just kept spraying the blood on him. It was in his eyes, in his mouth. It kept going. It kept going. It
yeah.
kept going. It
They
kept going. It
they
turned into like
also
a Family Guy joke, but in
yeah.
a horrific way. Like,
They
yeah.
also did that thing where they don't show it at the same time, right? They're just making you imagine she's just, like, sawing into this dude's dick and balls and, like, whatever, because they don't show you what she's doing, but they show you the results of what she's doing, and it's like, God, it's that fucking genius filmmaking again, because they do the same thing
Mm.
with the eye scene, and it's just like
Yeah. My
where they're like
God.
yeah, they don't show it, but you're like,
That's
you know
where
what's
like
coming.
that was one of the times where I was like, there's no way. Yeah, they're going there. I was like, this
Yeah,
movie is not afraid of anything at this point. And
yeah.
then when it went even further later on in the movie, I was like, oh, of course they went there too. I'm just like, I'm sick. But like, yeah, this is
Oh my god. I have to tell you something, Josh, and I'm embarrassed for you and your people. Rob Jabaz is a Canadian filmmaker. You fucking Canadians making the most degenerate piece of filmmaking in like a lifetime. You goddamn Canadians out here trying to ruin the film industry. You fucking Canadians, blame Canada, blame Canada.
no way.
He's Canadian. As I clicked on his name as we're talking, his
Yeah, I
name
see
is
this.
Rob, dude. So like, I mean, it shouldn't surprise you, but fucking
Did you say
Canadian
Rod?
Rob.
Rod?
Rob. So my name is
Rod!
Rod Johnston, and I get Rob Johnson. So I mean, we might as well be we're going down that alley, right? So
Well, you
man, I have to
are.
say,
I
I have
call
to
you
say,
Rob Johnson all the time.
I know you do. I get
I'm
Rod
kidding. I
Johnson,
never do.
Johnson all the time. Rod Johnson. I get Rod usually occurs easily, but it's the T just gets dropped in Johnston all the time, which
Oh,
is fine.
Rod.
I don't
Oh,
care that much.
Rod.
I don't care that much, Josh. I don't. I don't care that much. I swear. I swear.
Well,
I
at
swear.
least Canada knows how to make fuck. I love, and honestly, when the movie ends and it goes to like the flashing like and like the grind music with the
Yeah, the
blast beats, I was
grindcore.
like,
Yeah,
oh, this is so crazy.
dude. I have to. This you'll get a kick out of this. My wife is rewatching all of Bones. You know the show from Fox for years.
With
At some point,
okay,
they like
wasn't that the guy, the Angel guy, is in that, isn't
yep,
he?
Angel.
Okay,
Yep, from Buffy and then Angel. There's an episode where they're like looking for death metal bands, and they're all dressed up like in the leather and spikes and like white face makeup and like upside down crosses, and then like
yeah,
they start playing the music, and it's just like metalcore basically. And I'm like,
heck,
this isn't even deathcore. You have to go like way like you have to go way lower and way like you can't. I don't think you could do deathcore with three people, can you? With guitar, bass, and like you need like
you
two
can you can
guitars
tune to
and
like
like
drop A and then it would be you're fine. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
Like
yeah. You need
we
three
had a
that work.
hardcore band that was heavy, and then we had two guitarists, and at one point Ben ended up quitting the band, and we went on without him. And then
Yeah.
Matt, our lead guitarist, was like, "We're gonna be heavier," and then we retuned all the songs to drop A, and he got two stacks, so he had guitar coming from both sides of the drums, and it was just it was fucking heavy as shit.
And
Like
lead singer
people at the
was
shows were like, "How the
heavier.
fuck did you guys get heavier?" And
That's That's funny, man. That's
So,
funny.
like, yes, I do believe you can because we
You
did
can't.
it successfully.
Yeah, it just was making me laugh because it just sounded like early 2000s. It sounded like mid 2000s metalcore to me, and I'm like, okay, whatever,
What
whatever.
are you
But
saying? There's a problem with mid 2000s metalcore?
no, dude, I love metalcore. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You
Rod,
bastard,
Rod.
Josh. Man, I really am. I think that this. Are you on the same page though that this movie might cause even in the horror community get some people riled up? Like
I
this
don't know
place.
because I don't understand how I'm the one in the know. Like it's all over my feed. It's all over all the things that I follow. I assume you follow a lot of the same things that I do, but it's been everywhere and it's been completely off your radar. And
Yeah, I've never even heard of the dude. Not even seen
people are
Goldmember.
fucking losing their minds because it's gonna get to those extreme groups, right? Like the people that are like all about martyrs, all about a Serbian film and
Yeah,
blah blah. And like, this is right up on that list, if not like
dude,
close to the top now, I would
this
assume, for a lot of people.
this movie goes harder than Martyrs, and I've never seen a Serbian film, but this movie goes harder than Martyrs with like, because Martyrs is a lot of like build up for like awfulness, but like it's just sadness while something terrible is happening towards the end of the movie. Like,
See,
shit, man,
that's
I think
worse to me, to be honest. Like, because when it comes to psychological and like putting an audience like through like just ugh, and then it happens, and then that's like a payoff. This is just fucking relentless, dis- just
yeah,
disturbance and disturbingness for a
yeah,
long period of time, and then it gets worse and worse, and it just keeps
yeah,
piling. This is like a Big Mac of disturbance. Whereas
yeah.
I've still never seen Martyrs, so if it's more tame than this, then fuck, throw it on the list.
I, the thing with Martyrs is it's got fucked up shit, but man, like just the like there's one part of that movie that's really got where it is for being notorious, right? And a lot of the shit in there is like, oh, this is fucked up because a lot of things get implied, really, because you don't know everything. But like when I watched, it, I'm like, this isn't like, how you watched audition and you're like, yeah, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I
At
think there are
all,
very,
man. Like,
yeah,
but
there are
literally at all.
literally the only movie Jerry Smith has ever told me not to watch is Serbian film, a
Yeah,
Serbian
well,
film.
I'm staying away from
Yeah,
that regardless because
yeah.
I've heard some fucked up shit, so
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
But,
want to
like,
see it.
so it's very not very rare common for me to find something that's like, yeah, this is there you go. This is like this lives up to the like, and
All
man,
I heard was this is the most brutal shit ever made. And I was like,
yeah,
let's see. And I was like, fuck. Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You're right. Okay. Sorry. You're right. I'm
yeah,
sorry. It's the most brutal
it's
shit.
it's up there, man, and it just hits hard. Like the violence when it's funny, man, because you have like they do very much like cliffs and valleys. They're like lots of violence, calm or not calm, like tension, tension, tension. Lots of violence, tension, tension, tension. Lots of violence, tension, tension, tension. Right, like is kind of what's happening. I have to say too, man, I love the contact lenses they use in this film.
Oh my god.
About
Like they
they are,
did so many things right. That's
yeah,
why I still like as fucking intense as this is. It's really
movie's really well made. Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
done. Like
yeah,
for brutalness, for horror, for
yeah.
just
When
the
acting,
special
like,
effects and the acting, but like
yeah,
in camera special effects. Holy fuck, they did it well.
yeah, yeah. This movie's mostly practical effects, right? And so like they do all these scenes where there's just these extreme amounts of violence, and it's man, when you have a good stabbing in a horror movie, and when I say a good stabbing, I mean like a stabbing that like just feels real, right? Like this is not like Jason Voorhees cutting someone in half with a machete. It feels like, oh, you could if you saw some crazy person on the subway doing something like this, you would go, "Holy shit, that's what someone getting stabbed like that would look like," right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's man, it's fucking intense. Like it is like that first stabbing in the train scene is just like is so shocking because it's like when someone loses their goddamn mind in public. I mean, New York City just had that shooting in the subway, like what, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and like you just hear stories about people just like, horrified, right? Like people, it's like the deer with the like the headlights kind of thing, right? So this movie does all that and just like it shows you, so it's like, and I'm not saying that before the pandemic I would have thought this movie was unrealistic, but I don't know how much I would have been able to convince myself that this was all realistic. This movie completely, like every single thing that happens in this film, if a virus like this would happen, it would be exactly like this. It would be
Yes.
exactly like this because you get the same shit where it's funny, man. It's like we sit there and we talk about like how much misinformation shit like was going around, and they even built that into this film, right? They built it into the film. You had these people going, "I don't believe you," blah blah blah, and you just go, and it's just that fucking rage from when you hear like some relative of yours going, "COVID the fake," and you just go, "Oh my god, I fucking hate you." And it's that kind of thing where you're like,
There's
it's just
people like
rage. Yeah, I know. And you
a
just sit
lot of
there and it's
people.
like this this is fucking batshit crazy, man. And they just take everything and then they take that thing. It's like just like 28 Days Later, just like Mayhem. It's basically like you get Mayhem. It like wears off after whatever 8 hours or whatever. But this film, like 28 Days Later, yeah, you're fucked. Like you get this. It's like rabies. You have to go. You're Old Yeller, and you have to go to that back street, and man, there the things that I want to talk about when we talk about spoilers here in a bit are just like there are some harsh fucking moments of this, and then this almost made me fucking cry, man. Like with like because of like just they build these they do a really good job of building this emotional investment into these two main characters, right? Um,
Well, it's
like
the rooting, like they the the amount of like setup for the scene. You know that these are the people you're supposed to care about, but it's so minimal. But it I don't know. Like I think they're kind of likable. Like the two of them, you're rooting for them. It's just like when you add a time limit to something in a short or a YouTube video, and you're like, oh, and then you feel more on the edge of your seat because they're working against the clock. Whereas these people, there's just the tiniest bit of setup to make you actually care, and you do
yeah,
the entire time.
yeah.
You want them, but I don't know. Like maybe it's the Canadian filmmaker. He just makes you care.
I didn't hear a or oh sorry mate or anything like that.
How
Like
is a
there,
Canadian filmmaker making the most crazy foreign movie?
dude. It's like the guy who made the raid. The guy is British and he's making Indonesian movies, right? Like I think that's what he was. He was I'm pretty sure he was British. But like um people go to other places, dude, and like it's probably easier to get like filming or like funding and all that shit for these films like when you go into these other countries, man. It's like yeah, I don't know, man. Is oh no, sorry, Welsh. I'm sorry to any Welsh people out there. Friend technically Cake is Irish, and she made sure that I always know that like not all she's part of the Ireland that is independent Irish too. So make sure when you're talking to the
But the
oh, you're,
first, so like my poster, the first scary lady who's super
yeah,
creepy,
yeah,
like she's on the bottom. Introduction is through her, and then the last shot of the movie is so me too. By the way, like
yeah,
what's with like it's just the smiling. It's such a like it's
yeah,
the mist type. Like just not
dude.
good
Well, that
ending, but it's so good.
dude, it's also dark because when we talk about that ending in a little bit here, there's not much to talk about like plot wise, like we said. There's something I heard, and I'm like, is that what I think it is? Because that makes it even darker, right? But yeah, dude, I think that like we should tell everybody go. We're gonna spoil some things here for the last little bit of this podcast, but go watch this
Yes.
if you're not squeamish.
If you
And dude,
have a stomach that is
yeah,
not filled with a hot dog eating contest
yeah.
before you see it, go and watch it because then
Also,
you'll be fine. But if not,
also,
I don't know.
if anything in this movie makes you go, I don't know if I can handle this, it keeps going and getting worse. So like it just it
It does.
this movie is keeps going.
Legitimately, it does.
Yeah, it's like okay, you get this, you get this, you get this, you get. I mean, even like you start off like early with like fingers getting cut off with garden shears, which is not exactly.
And it's
It's
done
kind of
so
yeah,
convincingly well too.
yeah.
Other than
And
when he wraps it up, like
after
after
afterwards,
he's
after
not
yeah,
worried enough about it. But
yeah,
as it happens, and just the I don't know, all the special
yeah,
effects are done way
yeah,
too well for how gnarly this movie is, and
yeah.
they were definitely that was what they were depending on for this movie to work.
Yeah.
So fucking A.
There were a couple murders that had too much blood, and I'm like, you might have overdone it a little bit there, but like again, I think I was wondering if it was this is a we have to get this over the top because you spray blood, right? When you get like a artery, a vein, whatever, right? That blood goes out real hardcore, right? But
Yeah.
there's a couple times in this it's like that's what I was saying about Kill Bill, right? Like it has that kind of like amount of blood being sprayed out everywhere. This movie's it's really well done. It's really intense. Like you said, I probably never going back and rewatching this movie. Not anytime soon, right? This this is the type of movie I feel like in 5 years will have a reputation, and I'll be like, oh, I remember watching this on Murder Moose, and then maybe I'll watch it again, and then be like, oh fuck yeah, I remember, I remember. It's this is also the type of movie that like I won't ever like probably go out of my way to watch again like by myself. But if someone's around me that is interested in gnarly horror shit, this is like one of those movies that like you're like, oh, you sit down with your friend, you're like, hey, let's watch something. It's pretty fucked up, and then you watch it with him, and you just watch their face the whole time. It was like, dude, it's like when you if you ever show someone Midsummer, and like it's that kind of thing where it's like, what the
And
fuck?
I went with, I went with my tattoo artist and my buddy Ben, who him and I write and do a whole bunch of like shit together like this, right?
Yeah.
Him and I were, I don't know if we're like nervous laughers or, back then I was smoking weed. So him and I smoked weed, a lot of it before we went and saw
Yeah.
Midsummer. And we were really fucking high when we saw it. But there was so much violence and it was just so in your face. We were laughing at the top of our lungs at it because it's so gnarly what's happening. And Dan, my tattoo artist, he likes a movie, especially like that, to like really take him away and like feel the grossness. And he's not, it's not funny at all to
Yeah.
him. And he was
Yeah.
so confused by what and how we were reacting to the movie.
Yeah.
But it was funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
This movie was not funny, but I was laughing at some of how over the top at the same
Yeah.
time. I think it's just because it's so over the top that it becomes a joke almost,
Yeah.
to me at
Yeah.
least.
It's that and like the language of like how over the top of like offensive the shit some of these characters are saying, especially the old guy who's on
Over
like
a
the
year sober, by the way, but just no weed, just so you context.
yeah, and like the guy on the or not even I don't even know if it's the poster. He's like the main guy on like IMDb has him and stuff like that. But there's kind of a yeah, it's the not the guy in the poster, but the guy in the trailer and stuff like that, who's like really the main antagonist for a lot of the film for the female character. Um, man, I fuck man. I have to say we're gonna get spoilers, so just go see this movie if you like extreme stuff. But we're telling you now, if this movie gets to you and you're like, oh, it'll get better, turn it off because it it if anything makes you feel uncomfortable, like I said, the shit goes harder. It just keeps going harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. So yeah. Okay, so Josh, you ready to
He was
spoil some
talking
shit?
about his penis, not the movie. So
I mean, my penis does go harder and harder. I mean, even as I get older, my penis instead of getting softer, it gets harder. It's like titanium cock right now. It just like it like I need to like battering ram doors down. I'm just like get my dick hard, and I'm just like bam,
This is
bam, bam.
that's the sound it makes too. So this is
Yep.
Murder Moose, by the way. Welcome to it. Welcome to it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am the way I am.
Oh
I'm sorry. I am the way I am, Josh.
no,
Okay, let's
Rod,
move
I love
forward.
you. You know that.
I know.
It's one of those things that I have to say at least once an episode
I know. I
and
mean,
once a day.
it's how I get
Just
to
a
where
thank you.
I am in my life. Um, man. Okay. I don't think we need a real rundown. We could go over the plot, basically. And we'll go over specifics because that's really kind of where the
I
like the
do
shocker
like,
comes in.
the setup is honestly just
Yeah.
meeting a few characters to see
Yeah.
them as human beings, just so you
Yep.
can see how fucking crazy they are when they
Yeah.
turn, especially the face of the neighbor, because he
Yeah.
had kind of a weird, creepy look when they're leaving. He's just like, "I'll give you some of my basil from my
Yeah.
garden when you get home," and then he goes like, as he smiles. I was like, "What was that face he
Yeah.
just pulled? That was kind of weird." But then he
Yeah.
pulls it really creepily when he's got the like Vaseline goop coming out of his eyes, like
Yeah. It's like someone came like instead of tears, your eye ducts started like spewing out pus or something like that. Basically, dude, they make that real good job of like you can tell when someone's gonna turn into one of these things, right? Because like it gets to the
yes,
point where like they know they fuck with you with the guy main character, right? Because one of the best things about the movie, and they kind of built it up at the end where they he has this really weird image, and you go, oh fuck, this dude is really in trouble, right? And then they have like you don't see his face again until the very end, and they do that thing where they're just like teasing you, right? They're like teasing you that like they're not you only see his back, and then when when you see his front, it's you see it from his neck down, don't see his face, and they do that all the way until like he comes to save the girlfriend, and you go, I mean, you knew it was coming, but you're still like, "Fuck," because, like, you kinda get this thing where and even that, dude, they fucking make a "I love you" thing into this extreme "I'm gonna bite your tits off" or whatever, or "I'm gonna cut your tits off" or something like that. It's just like
honestly, the way that whole last scene played out, and the way that he kept going, because they do talk about it briefly in the movie, how it 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 fucks up that main part of your brain that is like straight drive and straight
yeah,
sex drive and straight like
violence.
violence drive.
Yeah,
And I loved like how fucked up that scene was. It's just like, I can't live without you, baby, and blah blah blah, and like all the things that you would say to like reaffirm your significant other that you're okay, and then
yeah,
in the same sentence it goes to that extreme because
yeah.
he's got that messed up part of his brain.
It's
I felt like
yeah,
it was perfect for just like, oh, I love you, I'd do anything for you, I'd cut off your tits, and like just crazy
yeah,
stuff. I'm just like,
yeah.
oh, like, but
It's
it
very
was
much
well done for how fucked
it's
up this is.
it's basically The Shining, but 40 years onto it, where Jack's like, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your fucking brains, your
Oh,
brains in or whatever. Like, and it's just like that kind of thing where it's like that.
but he
It's
looks
like
like he's
love
in
and rage at the same
a,
time.
a, a boy band,
Yeah,
like,
he's a good looking dude, man. Like
yeah.
you could see why, like it was we talked about earlier. She's probably a little out of his league because she like is successful, and this guy's like not on his feet yet.
And she's
But
in a
like,
girl band.
yeah, she's pretty though too. So it's like, but man, so the girl goes through the fucking door at the very end of this film, right? The very end of this film. And I swear you hear gunshots. And I was like, I like that they kind of mess with you, right? They mess with you like, are they fighting off more crazy people on the roof? Or did these motherfuckers just unload every like, M16 they have into this bitch that who we've been rooting for the whole time? Like either way, it's not a very happy thing for like anyone involved there at the very end, like you were talking about. It's like your main character, your other main character is either dead or like he's on this rampage. We don't get any context, right, of like how long they live like this. And there's like with all the urges, I bet these things, if they go for a long time, they kind of like get fat or whatever. It's kind of like when Bender becomes a human on Futurama, and all he wants to do is it's basically that's what this is. It's like if you take Bender when he becomes a human without any, but instead of like being just eating and fucking and farting like Bender the whole time, all you do is fucking violent and do all this. I just said violent like a word in a sentence, like it made sense there, but no, it didn't. Um, and dude, so this is why the rules are what confused me at this film, and it was really one of those things where I'm just like a little bit like, so we have this doctor at the end of the film who fucking chains her hand to the thing to see if she's like whatever, and he's like, oh, we could make your blood, use your blood to make a cure, whatever. It very Last of Us, right? The very Last of Us kind of thing.
Very much.
But I'm like, then why isn't your blood the same kind of thing? Because you're in the same kind of environment. The whole thing with the film, though, too, is that they, at some point, this doctor tells her that 15 to 20% of the population, and you go, what? Then that means one, like
That's a
one out of five.
ton of
I
people.
I know it's, he says like 5 million people, right? So it's like a 20 million person country. But why wasn't his blood just as valuable as hers? Also, he fucking infected 8 babies and they all got it. Like the math isn't like, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's because babies build up like immunities, and they're like they get to the point where they could fight back against the virus, but you can't as a baby. I assume that's what they're saying, but it's like you get a lot of information chucked at you. Like earlier in the film, you learned that this virus that was going around was very much like COVID. Like there's like so much social commentary in this film about like how people reacted to COVID, but like with this virus, and like to make it like kind of semi believable, they put it in the same family as rabies, right? So they
Of
have
course,
that.
that's
Yeah,
the go. That's a classic go-to, but it's also so people have something that they already know that they can attach it to because
yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
that when you build it off of something in the real world, right? That's why the fucking thing in The Last of Us is fucking creepy as shit, because it's a real
Yes.
fungus that like infects ants. So they took that and they went, okay, what if it infected humans? And it's that thing where it's like, oh, they took rabies and they're like, well, what if rabies like didn't just make you violent, it made you like, you know, sexually violent, and it did all this other stuff and just amplifying it up, right? So they take all this stuff and you go, huh. And so that's what a lot of the stuff, and that's kind of what it'd be, you know, but that's kind of neat though too, because right, this is, if it's just occurring like this, they wouldn't know, right? They wouldn't know how it's being spread. They wouldn't know what the real like. That's why the whole I'm
That's
gonna
what I liked about this movie, though. It makes it
yeah,
scarier,
yeah,
the unknown. And to be honest, when it comes to zombie type, style movies and
yeah,
pandemic style movies and that type of stuff, it's almost the exact same thing now because there's been so many.
yeah.
It's not about that anymore. Just like
No,
time travel, when Looper had that one scene where they
they're
just
like cutting the
dismiss it.
guy apart. Yeah,
Yeah, or no, like they're at the restaurant and he's just like, "We're not fucking going into it. We'll start talking about fucking straws and bullshit for hours
oh
and
yeah,
hours, and it will go nowhere." And that was all the only time anything about time travel and how it works was ever brought up in the movie, and
yeah.
it was instantly dismissed, and it was so perfect, and that's what makes that movie so awesome. And I think not explaining anything and not going into a big exploit exploit
Yeah.
exploit yeah like to show
Explanation of every yeah.
they did show a little bit of a the virus thing at the beginning, and that's all they said. It mutated, blah blah blah, and that's all they needed to. They don't need to go any further than that, and they don't need and it's not the origin. If this does well, then it gets a prequel. That's how the fucking industry works now, right?
Yeah. Well, it's that, and the man, I have to say, another movie with fucking crazy old people, dude. Because the white lady from your poster, the old white haired lady, is horrifying. And this lady moves fast, man. And also has one of the gnarliest kills in the whole fucking movie, where she takes that fucking fry basket and pours that.
Yes.
They they made you could tell it wasn't hot, but they made it look like gooey and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Anytime
gross.
you use goo from the
Yeah,
80s, it
yeah,
it just reminded me of, like, Ernest Scared Stupid, all the goop that's all over the troll and the amount
yeah,
of goop they used in that movie, it stands the test of time. That movie is
yeah,
creepier than most movies nowadays because no one uses practical anymore.
yeah.
This movie is way creepier than most things that have come out in a long time because of all the practical effects they used.
Well,
There you
dude,
go.
did you ever see that movie about the homeless dudes drinking that booze that makes them explode from colors, like they melt basically? It's
No.
on Shudder, I think, at some point. It's one of those movies that's gotten put on homeless, like homeless get murdered lists. It was just weird. Like I saw something about it on
Yeah.
What Culture or something like that, and they drink this booze and they start melting, but they're melting like neon yellow and purple and bright blue and shit like that instead of and so it looks really cool. And then I think man the stuff, which is hokey for sure, a lot of that film, but that stuff where it looks like they just are used marshmallow fluff to attack everyone, but they did a lot. The only scenes in that movie that were really really bad to watch were when the kid was running away from the stuff, um, but also the Blob, right? Like the Blob is the go-to, and you could think of the '50s version, but you can also think of the remake from the '80s. So there's a lot with that dude, and dude, it's just those practical effects. I mean, dude, even Indiana Jones, where the Nazi melts after he looks at the fucking,
Totally.
it's that kind of stuff where you just melts. I mean, the
They did
Fly,
such a
all
good
that stuff.
job. Oh, yeah.
The Thing, which we're gonna talk about here soon, that and the more gooey stuff, right? And then, dude, you just this is
That
all
was
you
the
need to do.
poster that got me back on track, by the way,
Yeah, yeah,
was The Thing. It was the first
yeah,
one of now many, but that was the one. So I was like, no, we got to put this on the show. Something that
yeah.
you've loved for a long time. I haven't seen in over a decade, probably longer.
Dude,
So
it's one
yeah,
of the
it's
horror movies I can rewatch and rewatch and rewatch, and I don't rewatch
exactly. So
movies. Yeah,
this is
yeah,
how I put movies back on my list. It's like
yeah,
you force me to put it on the show, so I have to rewatch a
yeah,
movie I want to watch, like
yeah,
that
yeah,
it follows. I've seen it several times to see her in another movie, but also to have just rewatched It Follows. It really made me enjoy seeing her that much more and really want to see her in more movies too. Like, I don't know.
yeah, yeah. She's good, man. But and let's there's okay. So the scene I referred to earlier that I wouldn't go, is this too far? There's a character in this film, this fat bitch, and I don't call her a bitch because she's a woman. I call her a fat bitch because she's fat, but because she is the most useless character in this fucking film. And all she does is hold other characters up. She's like a
You
walking
almost got
human
me
obstacle.
killed.
Yeah. Well, dude, she gets stabbed in the eye with a fucking umbrella, and you go, you have to go. Is she got brain damage or what? I'm like, how did that kill her? I just figured she'd be dead, but she gets her eye pulled out with an umbrella, and then the skinny main character has to haul her booty around for the next 15 minutes, and
Oh.
then she gets the guy who poked her eyeball out on the train with the umbrella, finds them when the other girl isn't there, and fucks the wound. And that was the point where I'm like,
Her eye socket.
yeah, I was like, I don't know if that is too much. And then when you see the lady later on, she's got a dick size hole where it is, and it's just they even went into that detail where they have dick size, and then the guy goes, "Oh, by the time I was pulling my shit out of your friend's face, she was begging me not to stop," and I'm like,
Yeah.
ah,
But they also
and
did that same sort of thing when you think you're saving a guy that's getting his balls
yeah,
repeatedly rammed into a rod,
yeah,
ramrod. Uh, then he's like, "Oh, why'd you stop? I almost came," and I'm just like, "Oh man," like,
yeah. I'm like, that's mayhem, man. It's mayhem.
yeah,
And
it's
then
totally mayhem.
I think the scene that even with the eyeball scene I can't decide if we're being honest, but I think the scene that might actually get claimed as being the worst in this whole film is the when she's trying to throw her clothes away in the like the biohazard bin, and here's a baby crying, and there's a baby in the biohazard bin with the virus, and you just go, they really went there because they did a double fake, right? So they go in, she comes in this room and they see all these baby, like it was where the infirmary, the like the infancy ward was, and they the doctor's like, yeah, they were all gone when I came in. So they fake you out. And then she throws her shirt in and you hear baby crying from the fucking hamper. And
The
you're like,
garbage.
yeah, the biohazard bin was really what it was. Yeah. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
go, oh, they really, that was it. And which one of those, okay.
Yeah, but then they
So,
go even worse because then the guy's like, "Yeah, when I did it, I liked it," type thing, and I'm just like, "Oh fuck!" Like they piled it
he's
on
not,
even thicker, and I'm just
he's
like,
not,
"Oh, I
yeah,
actually feel sick now. I
he's not
legitimately,
infected either.
I know,
He's
and
just
I
a,
legitimately feel sick now."
yeah, it was very much like, the 70s show kid in the Predators movie where you think he's like this sweet dude for, I mean it's not that much, but like it's just a creepo, super creepo doctor. Yeah. Man. But those are the ones that were kind of just like fuck. Like those are the ones that, and they're towards the end, but like they fucking are chucking shit at you the whole movie. Like you just see people raping and fucking and doing whatever, and the doctor at some point kind of goes, yeah, it seems like they need their they need their victim to suffer, which is why they don't attack each other, which is not true. Oh, maybe it is true. Yeah, it is true because they don't really attack each other, but they were battering ram that one dude his balls into a fucking post. I don't fucking
But
know.
see that's where when you bring up you didn't know the rules because like some of them seemed more intelligent than others, and then you
Yeah.
could scare them off like in that scene where he like starts beating them back up, and then they
Yeah.
all leave together like they're still like good friends. They're just doing this because
Yeah.
they want to. I don't know, like it it makes it almost scarier, like the Warriors and blah blah, blah like just I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot. You're like sitting there going, yeah, I'm not sure how much further you just keep going. That's you're like, how much further can they go? And they keep going further, and which is a lot, man. But like we were saying, it's just done really well, and like they do everything to keep you like focused on what's happening, and not just say, okay, this is just a shock fest to be a shock fest. It's a shock fest attached to a pretty tense little film, right? So,
Yes.
I mean, it's they did. I'm just impressed with how much like everything, especially from having a fucking Canadian actor going to fucking over there and just killing it, making this film. And it's again, we talk about the raid. It's like you have these like English speaking directors just come in and just do this really good job. I Even if Rob Jabaz is like from Taiwan or whatever, he like yeah, he was raised in Mississauga, Canada. Where the fuck is that?
What?
I don't know. Where is
Mississauga?
Mississauga, Canada? Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Ontario.
Okay. But man, also the white-haired lady also reminded me of Japanese like ghost story kind of things,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Like
Well, I
where it's
felt
like
like there was a few things and a few death scenes and a few whatever that were like definitely heavily influenced by other movies.
yeah.
Um, but just done like the execution in this movie was just yeah, it was top notch the entire time. Really these are the types of movies that I would love to know budget and blah 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 type stuff because like this is one that just again execution is everything. If you're that brings up a good like transition because the Northman had like an inflated crazy budget before marketing. It hit $90 million. They like a studio
Yeah.
fucked up bad because it only made like 12 million over
I
the
was
last week or something.
I
And
was like have you guys seen Robert Eggers' other movies
He's
and
not a
what they
crowd
did?
pleaser director,
No,
and
he
they're
looks
trying to make this like it was going to be Gladiator, which is a crowd pleaser movie. He's
it-
not a crowd pleaser movie maker. He's an auteur. He's very dark
it's
and
weird,
yeah,
confusing shit. Like The Witch is confusing.
yes, but it's awesome.
The Lighthouse is confusing. Like there's like shit in there, and they're fucking eccentric. Both those films, and you go, what, dude?
So
You don't.
I'm still
Yeah,
excited to see that and
me too.
at the new Nicolas Cage movie, um it's
Yeah,
too long of a title. I always forget it. But
the Nicolas Cage movie.
but that one didn't do well either. So it's a really those two are really it's a bad thing for moviegoers, to be honest, because like
Yeah,
those are two movies that studios are like, you know what, we're gonna take a chance. Nicolas Cage movie was like a $40 million. That's like a mid-budget action comedy, and
yeah.
you don't see mid-budget movies being made anymore. And this is why. And
You don't see. Yeah, you don't even see, dude. Like R-rated action movies don't happen very often anymore.
yeah,
Like it's you now. You get Fast and Furious movies. You get Marvel movies. You get
and the
DC
Fast
movies.
and the Furious, Justin Lin just stepped down as the director today as well. So like
Oh, I didn't see that.
Vin Diesel is fucking everything up there. It said creative differences with Universal, but I come on, Vin Diesel has been fucking a loud, stompy little baby, and he's
Oh,
pissing
dude.
off everyone, man.
I mean, ha, have you ever heard of anyone else working badly with The Rock?
No.
Like exactly. It's like
Oh,
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
the unbelievable weight of massive talent. There we go.
Yeah.
It's right in front of me right now. That's why I know it.
But even then, with that 40 million of that movie will be. Nicolas Cage gets like these life like things where
Didn't
everyone
yeah. No, but
like
seriously.
yeah. I mean, it sucks because like I didn't get to go see either one of them mostly because I was busy all weekend. And like I streamed and I did a
You
role
saw
playing
the
game.
Fantastic Beast though, like the new one.
Yes, I
That
did.
has the worst fucking poster ever too, by the way.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah,
hell?
like I said, that film was it was uh it was better than the second one, but like it
This is the
I
third one already?
yeah, it's been three of them. Yeah.
Holy shit. I didn't see the second one. I saw the first one.
It's real bad. The second one is real bad. Like it's literally one of the worst films I've ever seen in the
This
theater
poster
bad.
is so bad, dude.
I mean, there are a lot of people in the artistic community who do stuff like that who probably want nothing to do with anything that cunt comes out with. And when I say cunt, I mean J.K.
Yeah,
Rowling
J.K. Rowling. Yeah.
is a giant turf bitch. And yep. And I say trans men are men, trans women are women, and
My nibbling was a
you are a cunt.
huge,
JK.
huge Harry Potter fan, and now it's
Yep.
like I was talking to
Why?
is
Yeah.
and like they're like, I have all this shit, and it's like I
Yeah.
don't fucking want it anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's like a shit stain on my bedroom
I
now.
I said for a long time too, like I hate her for those opinions. I hate her even more on a significant level for taking her platform and spreading that hatred out.
Yes.
It's the worst thing in the world, dude. Like you having a shitty opinion sucks, and it makes me like respect you less. But you having that shitty opinion and then broadcasting it out, and you're spreading hatred for no fucking reason other than you're a cunt. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, J.K.
Whoa.
Rowling.
He went the full sadness at the
Um,
end of this.
yep. I called her the cunt she is because she's a cunt. Also, this movie says cunt like 800 times. I swear to God. It is some of the language in this film would be like, I swear to God, this is one of the only films I've ever seen. I'm like, I think that they might actually make them like edit the dialogue of the movie that's like because of the rape suggestions and the yeah, it's just it's rough, man. And when you learn the things you do,
It
you
goes
go,
there, and then it goes there, and
yeah,
then it goes
yeah.
there,
That's why I said
and then it
if
goes
at any
there.
point this movie makes you uncomfortable, stop watching it because it's not gonna get better.
If
This
Rod makes you
just
feel uncomfortable, then
yeah,
definitely don't watch
it's
this movie.
it's basically a roller coaster that instead of like you like having ups and downs the whole time, you're like fucking going to space the whole time. That's all. So
Space
But
Mountain.
it's a wonderful ride if you can handle it. And Josh and I are fucked up weirdos, and we could, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but it's a
uh,
one and done though.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's a one and done. This is not a movie you watch again unless, like I said, you're trying to fuck with somebody. Josh, it's still entertaining as fuck. It's really well done. It's a, it's
100%.
a, yeah, it's a cool flick. It's just not,
And it's a cool
it's not
poster.
for everyone. Yeah, your
So
poster's
okay,
awesome.
so the original poster that got me. The only reason I knew about this movie in the first place was because Creepy Duck Design. He got an actual commission to do the poster, and then he was probably commissioned to help with promotion because he
Yeah,
had like some giveaway going on months ago and was talking about the sadness. And yeah, it was
did
like
he see your version of it?
no,
You should
I
have showed it.
I
You
would
should have
yeah, I
tagged him
should
on
have.
your version of the poster. It's fucking cool. So
I
I
don't know.
mean,
Like, I don't want because like he does really good work, and I don't want him to just think that I'm out there ripping him off and everything he's done too, right? I want to try and have my own path too. I want him. I want to
I
get
don't
like
know.
some high fives here and there, but I don't want to be like this loud presence or obnoxiousness because I respect him and his work too much, right? I don't know how to
Listen,
do social media, man. Are you supposed to be really loud all the
I
time?
mean, I think that showing someone that you respect is a reasonable thing. I mean, I've seen him interact with you, so
Yeah, totally.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, it's not like you're going sliding into his DMs and sending him dick pics, unsolicited dick pics. So
You don't
you're just like,
know.
hey, look at this, what I did. It's pretty cool, huh? So
Yeah,
okay.
I'm terrible at self promotion. That's all I know.
Oh, dude, I
I'm a
am.
little too
You're getting better
like
at it though. You're better at it than me, I think.
I'm
So
trying. I'm actually trying now, but I still feel like I'm not the greatest at it.
well, dude, you have a thing to show off. I just have me telling dick jokes. So I mean, here we are.
I, when I'm proud of it, I think I should be a little noisier because
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
actually proud of this one. This one looks pretty good.
yeah, you should be. So, Josh, I was gonna say I wasn't sure if we really wanted to finalize shore up a movie for next week yet because you have all these film festival things. But we could also do the thing next week with Jerry. But like I don't know if I want to nail something down before you go through all your stuff this upcoming number of days, and maybe we
I
hold
would
off
love
until
to have done Watcher, right? Like, but I don't know if it's gonna be able to be done with you
yeah,
living so far away.
yeah.
I
Okay.
the
Well,
director has already loved my poster. Maybe I could slide into her DMs and be like, "Hey,
I mean, I again, that's like you just going and asking to do that, and like the only two people that would watch it would be me and you. So like you're
I've
like
already seen it, right?"
yeah, exactly. So you're showing it to one additional person. So I don't know. You could even explain you have a Plex server, and I would just watch on there. So you like there wouldn't be like
You don't
whatever. So
you don't say that stuff to people.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, Josh. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, then we'll tweet out when we finalize. I figured that we were probably going to end up leaving this episode like without a movie for next week just because of everything going on. So
Just in case.
yeah, I mean, might as well. And you and I going off the cuff is just normal. So okay, Josh,
Well,
let's get the
we
fuck
can
out of
live
here.
on the seat of our pants and be okay with it. That's not a
Yeah,
it's not a terrible thing.
we're very ADHD, and that means sometimes chaos occurs. Most times
Like
chaos
this
occurs.
movie.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just
Um,
you should see Rod on a fucking Monday morning. He's just like and then he
no,
drinks his coffee and takes his Adderall and he's just like, "Oh,
then I just go. Okay, I can live for the next couple of hours. So, uh,
ADHD." Oh.
ADHD. Okay, so we'll tweet out when we figure it out for sure. We are murdermoose.com. We have Murder Moose Pod on Twitter. Josh WRB on Twitter. Rod underscore Johnson on Twitter. We both have our Twitch handles with the same names. So come
Cuz
check
we're
us out there.
smart.
Because we're smart. We're all over the place. And
JoshWRB.com. I own
interact
it.
with us. Yeah, interact with us on Twitter. Interact with us. Like our individual things are tagged and everything, but we're all over the place. We don't bite. I mean, Josh does, but only in a kinky way.
And when I got
And
the missing tooth, it feels nice and weird now. So, you know.
but dude, it's wait. That's the problem, Josh. When you have a missing tooth and you bite someone, like your bite imprint is very distinguishable. Then, like they could track you down. They could track you down, Josh. The horror. The horror. And I love your face, Josh. As
Oh my
always, you
god.
know I love the shit out of you, buddy. And it's been cool
You
watching you
too,
make
bud.
these posters. So we will be back next week with a quote movie. And it might be Jerry. If we do the thing next week, Jerry will be here. And if not, Josh and I will be hanging out with our wang out. Oh, Continue was talking about doing not next week because she's going on vacation soon, but we're gonna do
The
that
double
look into
feature.
Doctor Sleep. Yeah, the Shining thing. So
Sick. I'm so down. Yeah, the grindhouse.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been hanging out and continues streams as well. Like she's fucking rad, man. So
she's
I
cool
I
people.
love
Man.
I love the little like group that you have that you can bring onto the show and like introduce
Yeah,
to me and stuff because your crew is always really fucking solid, man. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm stoked.
I also talked to my buddy who's a way bigger Twitch streamer when I was doing the 420 stream at my friend Classy Katie's house. Her husband slash boyfriend, their common law. And I was like, "You want to do something?" He's like, "You sounded interested, so maybe but he's starting up another podcast. Who fucking knows?" So I like talking to people and like reaching out and
You're
doing
better
stuff.
at it
So
than I am. I
I
just
can talk to people. I mean, dude, I've sent out. You don't even know how many DMs I've sent out to people I respect, and like just mentioned it. And most of them they don't ever read or reply, but
like
it doesn't matter.
if I would have known or could have had or blah blah blah, like the dude from that wrote and directed, I didn't even know he was the fucking guy, and I was just like shooting the shit with him. He was so rad. We were chatting metal and grindcore and stuff. I bet you anything if I just like asked him, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm in town for like just fucking do it," and he probably would have like in person came on the fucking show.
Yeah.
Fuck.
We're learning how to not be idiots, Josh. We're learning. And with that, I love you, Josh. And we
Yes.
will see each other again next week. I love you. And
Bye.
bye.